If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
You're a guy who just wants to look nice. The kind of nice where you might get a nice compliment on the niceness of your nice new outfit. Good Thing Men's Warehouse has everything from polos to jeans and, yes, suits, plus a team to help you find the perfect fit to make sure you look nice. Nice. Love the way you look. Men's Warehouse.
Sunday morning. With us is Steve Cates, otherwise known as Dr. Sky. And one of our most interesting segments for the week, well, we look up in the sky and we don't know what we're saying sometimes. Well, Steve, tell us what interesting things you have for our listeners today.
Well, good morning to you and the listeners, John. Let's do a little space history on this October the 19th. If we go back into history in 1968, it's hard to believe it's that long ago, the first live television broadcast from a U.S. spacecraft with humans on board was Apollo 7. That was an incredible story about how to transmit television from above the Earth. And then we find out in 2019, the first all-female spacewalk, John, took place in 2019 to repair sections of the International Space Station. So many things in space history. But, John, some of the interesting news topics today are such. We find out that 20 years ago, scientists and spacecraft noticed a change in the gravity shift of the Earth. Well, does this mean anything alarming? Hardly. They found out that there's a mineral shift in the Earth's mantle off of Africa. So just to be very clear, the Earth's mantle, John, below the crust, is 84% of the volume of the Earth and 67% of its mass. So what does that mean to anybody or a spacecraft flying away? We find out that there's a gravity weak hole, we call it, over the South Atlantic. They call it the South Atlantic anomaly, John. That's off the coast of Brazil. And spacecraft know this, so that when they go through there could be an interruption in the gravity, could interfere with communications. But, John, as we've talked about many times before, Mother Earth does amazing things. So something's going on underneath the Earth, and this is deep inside the Earth, a shift in the minerals and maybe the magma. Isn't that interesting? Well, it is very interesting. And Steve, I've always said that the planet Earth is a living entity. Whoever helped create us and helped create it. And I think it's a lot different than some of the other planets. And for example, you know, everybody used to say oil is made from dinosaurs. It's not true. The planet Earth. Exactly right. The planet Earth makes that crude oil to have the mantles move easier amongst themselves, and the planet Earth replaces it if we have dug it up already. And that's is amazing. Interesting. That's amazing. It is, and it's survivability and replenishment. So the Earth, as we both agree, and many listeners I'm sure would agree, over the course of all these extinctions, Mother Earth, if you want to call her that, has been pretty resilient. And I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you one more. I was talking with a scientist, I believe from Harvard, that everybody's concerned that the CO2 is up. And you know what they said? Well, the CO2 is down, and the only reason it's up because the planet Earth has decided that it needs more plant life because there's 8 billion people on the planet Earth that need food. And that the CO2 creates the life for plant to create more plant food for the 8 billion people. And that the planet Earth, being a living entity, has decided that it needs more CO2 to be able to do that. Well, that's right, John, and you brought up a very good point, so that people don't necessarily just keep hearing that CO2 is a demonizing part of the environment. Obviously, you've just given a good case, just the opposite, and many scientists do agree. But going along with what you said, John, there's another interesting story here. The Earth may be dimming, and this is interesting. When a planet has light coming from the sun, and the percentage that it reflects back into space is a term called albedo. Now, the simple thing is Venus has the highest albedo because it's covered in clouds and it's like a mirror. That's why it's so bright. But some scientists are saying with less ice and snow on the Earth is absorbing more solar energy and in turn may not be exhibiting that much reflectivity. But the story goes on, John. Nothing is absolutely conclusive in this. That's just a preliminary story and study that needs
further analysis, don't you think?
Someday Columbus found out, and someday we'll find out that the planet Earth is not flat.
That's interesting. That's amazing. And in the course from Columbus's day all the way to today, we do know that the Earth does have a roundness to it, and that can be proven easily. John, we have the mystery of the week, and this one really surprised me. And here's a story that comes to us from students at the University of San Diego. What's the headline? Satellites are leaking the world's secret calls, text, military, and corporate data. And I had to take a double take on this. What they're saying, these students, is they can set up antennas, not necessarily very sophisticated ones. And the point is, John, of all those satellites that are billions of dollars of hardware, many of those particular satellites are not encrypted. Isn't that shocking? So that some people out there, maybe people smarter than all of us, let's say, without a background in electronics, maybe other countries, obviously, maybe even corporate entities that want to spy on each other, who knows, the beat goes on. We found out, or at least the report says, that they set up these antennas right on top of the college in San Diego, and they were pulling down data. Surprising, John, that majority of that wasn't encrypted. And when the article came out, some big companies, and I'm not going to name them, they decided to go ahead and immediately encrypt what was open source. I find that to be totally amazing. I thought things were encrypted, didn't you?
I always thought that too, but the fact is, does that mean if you would have traded on information that you got from the satellite because of your ability to get that, is that insider trading?
Yes, and another thing is that some sort of a felony that you're doing espionage when it's publicly available through the airwaves? And I guess that goes to a topic, John, that I don't know anyone particularly. Do you and I know any space lawyers yet? That's a whole other study that I think should have an expertise in finding out what is in the air, who owns it, and if it's not encrypted, are you spying on something? And could you be charged with a felony when it's open source? And that, of course, leads to a lot of other conversations, don't you think?
I agree. Well, Steve Kates, thank you. And people can get your show on WABCRadio.com worldwide in 50 states in the United States on Friday night, midnight till 2 a.m., and Saturday night, midnight to 2 a.m., and I am always there listening, and you keep me up at night.
Well, John, thank you. You and your family and everybody in the executive staff. And don't forget, a big meteor shower occurs early on Tuesday morning over the Orionids, see it in the east, and also a bright comet called Comet Lemon, bright enough to be seen in binoculars. People can, of course, look at that and look up Comet Lemon, just like a lemon, and they may get to see the first of many comets that are coming through in October. John, thank you for the opportunity, and a great morning, a Sunday morning to you and the listeners.
Thank you so much.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.